That was exciting. Trev's Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. That's too sweet. Anyway, probably one of the best Stanley Cup finals we've ever seen in, well, ages, I would think. But this one had all the elements to it. I mean, it could have ended so many different times. It could have ended so many different ways. But we were treated to this 7-game Stanley Cup final. And the Florida Panthers beat the Edmonton Oilers in 7 games when they could have just easily beat them in 4, 5, or 6 to win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. So let's talk about it. It's almost hard to believe this started 3 weeks ago. But anyway, as mentioned, Panthers won the Stanley Cup. It's the 18th time the Stanley Cup Finals gone to a Game 7. The first time since 2019. That was when St. Louis beat Boston. Rather convincingly, I might add. Although the Panthers did win, the Oilers became the first team since 1945 to come back from a 3-0 deficit to force a Game 7. Now, obviously, they didn't jack end the other end of history and become the second team to win a cup. No, it wasn't working like that. But I mean, I will say for Florida to take it all the way to 7, it could have went incredibly bad. I mean, thank their lucky stars, they were able to keep McDavid quiet for the last 2 games. Because, I mean, between you and me, games 4 and 5, he looked like a beast. And I was really starting to reconsider my pick being Florida. And despite a Game 7 that could have went either way, I mean, the Panthers hung on and blocked every shot they could and, kept it at 2-1, thankfully, to their benefit. But again, it's one of those trophies you do not win alone. This was a full team effort. I mean, when you look at some of the guys that are on this team, I mean, Barkov's been with the team since 2013. So he's your longest tenured guy, believe it or not. It took me a while to believe that as well, but yeah, for him, it's probably about time. I mean, Ekblad finally has a cup to his name. I mean, he's the second longest tenured guy and, former first overall who was considered then exceptional status. But he finally has a cup. Only took goalie Bob 14 seasons. And I'm not going to lie, I mean, when the Panthers kind of let it slide in the third period of Game 3, when it was a 4-3 win for the Panthers, when it should have just stuck to being 4-1, I thought something was seriously wrong. And I mean, to get chased out of Game 5 and Game 6 being what it was good to see goalie Bob get back to being goalie Bob and actually stopping the puck for a change, as opposed to letting 5 or 6 in. I mean, doesn't Matthew Tkachuk look like a genius now? Not wanting to sign long-term in Calgary, holding out. Well, that wasn't necessarily holding out, was not wanting to resign, got traded to Florida. Within 2 years, he's got a cup. Where's Calgary at this point? Smart man to bet himself. Little known fact. I didn't know this till I thought about it. So he's the only Tkachuk with a Stanley Cup now. Walt didn't have one because Walt played with the Rangers. Keith never got one. And Brady's still playing. He's the only Tkachuk with a cup. How about that? And then you think of the guys that already have the cup experience to their name. I mean, Tarasenko has another one now. As does Rodriguez. And Verhaeghe, well, I mean, I think he's the only guy on the team that won a cup with Tampa and now with Florida. Speaking of that, this is the third time in the last 5 years the Stanley Cup will be in Florida State. So there's that. Paul Maurice, he's finally got a cup now. I mean, it's only a second time. I mean, he isn't known for making the playoffs, but he finally has a cup now. His name will be on that thing. But without Bill Zito, without the moves he made to get half these guys, I mean, he was after Barkov and Ekblad, but everything else in between, everybody I've mentioned, they came along. Smart man. I mean, why else would he be nominated for GM of the Year 4 times in a row? And again, not gonna lie, after Game 3, it should have been a lock, right? But thanks to that great big hiccup between Game 4 and 6, we were lucky enough to get a 7-game series, and not just a 7-game series, a down 3-0 7-game series. The only thing that would have been better, the only thing that would have made this sweeter, overtime or a double overtime. That would have been sweet. And I mean, if it would have went overtime, oh, mad city, guaranteed. But hell of a playoffs either way. I mean, my nerves were shot most nights, and my vocal cords were strained the other nights. But heck of a series. And even though I've said Florida in 5, I was wrong. It still went to Florida. That still counts, right? It'd be interesting to see if Florida can be one of those teams that can defend it and go back to back, even though that's not necessarily something that's easy these days. But their defense should be an interesting thing to see, as will their Stanley Cup rings, which I will talk about when they release them. I know I missed the Vegas one. If you still want me to talk about that one, let me know. But either way, congrats to the Panthers for putting on a hell of a series, for giving us a heck of a series to watch, and finally, after 31 years, getting themselves their names on the Stanley Cup. It's another one of them Trev's hockey shows. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you've made it to this part. And if you have made it to this part, then please feel free to drop me a like. You know, at least let me know you were here, or at least you made it to this part. That would be good enough for me. If you want to, if you're so inclined, that red button, the one that says subscribe all over it, you know you want to hit it. You know I want you to hit it. It'll make you feel good. It'll make me feel good. It'll help my algorithm, and we're on that push to 500. We're still close to halfway. I can almost taste it. So feel free to hit that red button. That'd be sweet. So moving forward this week, I'm going to have a busy week of videos. Let me tell you, I don't know when I'll have a day off. That isn't named Saturday or Sunday, but expect some content down the pipe this week for a lot. But either way, in the meantime, and in between time, be looking for more videos from Trev. Later.